Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Culture Mavens. This is Rabbi Susan Nanus with my dear friend and partner in crime, Tom Teicholz. Hi, Tom.
Hi, Susan. Glad to be doing another episode.
Me too. And it's been so hot this week that it's been a great time to stay inside in the air conditioning and watch culture.
Yeah.
So the first thing that I want to talk about, first of all, I've spent the last 2 weeks with the clergy recording our high holiday services, our high holy day services. They're going to be gorgeous, everyone, so beautiful. But it put me in the mind of Rosh Hashanah. And we mentioned him before, but Michael Solomonov is doing a special Rosh Hashanah cooking class for Israel Bonds. Israel Bonds has decided, because they can't have live programming to do online like everyone else. And their first one is Michael Solomonov on Thursday, September 10th, 5 p.m. our time. He'll be teaching cooking of Rosh Hashanah inspired cuisine. And he is, as we know, a master Israeli chef. An American. He has a restaurant in Boston. Is that where it is?
Philadelphia.
I was close. And so that would be great. And if you're sick of the same old Rosh Hashanah brisket, you want to do something else, I suggest you look at Michael on Thursday, September 10th. Another thing, so going to a whole other food, that's food for the stomach, food for the mind, or for the spirit, really. PBS Great Performances is now putting on some of their most beautiful programming. And on September 11th, Friday, September 11th, they're going to be premiering Romeo and Juliet, the ballet, Prokofiev's ballet. This one choreographed by Kenneth Macmillan of the Royal Ballet of England, of London. And it'll be very beautiful. It'll be on the PBS. You have to check your listings, but it will be on your PBS television station. And if you love ballet, this is going to be some of the best.
Yes, and there are a bunch of other great performances. Only up until this Saturday is the Kevin Kline performance of Noel Coward's Present Laughter, which is a wonderful comedy about an actor who's in the midst of a midlife crisis, and he's preparing to go on tour, and Kevin Kline just nails it. But Susan, you remind me that while this is all going on, you also every Wednesday night, the LA Phil is doing live some of their best performances from the Hollywood Bowl. I watched last week the evening in Mexico, which was really fantastic. And every Wednesday night they're doing a different program, and then every Sunday night on radio, KCRW is doing one of their Hollywood Bowl world music shows, and those are also great to check out.
Wow, that sounds beautiful. You know, I was going to talk about a film, but I think this just segues more perfectly into the Broadway HD. If you like ballet, if you like concert music. And we had recommended this website, Broadway HD, earlier, but I, to be honest, hadn't checked it out till this week. It's got everything. It's got every famous Broadway show that you can watch that was recorded, while it was being performed, and ballet, and some concerts. But what I saw that I thought our, viewers would love are 3 Jewishly themed in some way performances. The first one being Indecent, an unbelievably great play about the Yiddish play by Sholem Asch. It's about this indecent play and how it's traveled all over the world. And it's actually, Sholem Asch wrote this play in 1907, and it's about lesbianism and corruption of Jewish values. And it was a big scandal. And it's called God of Vengeance. That's the name of the book, the play itself. And this Indecent is about the writing and performance and the history of the play. And it's a fantastic, I saw it when it was here. I saw it on TV, and I saw it when it was here in LA. Also, the great dance musical, An American in Paris by George Gershwin. So beautiful. I actually saw that on Broadway. And they also have Gypsy starring Bette Midler. So she did that, I guess, about 10 years ago. But these are fantastic Broadway shows that you can watch. Broadway HD is $8.99 a month, but the first week is free. So you can get these things for free and then not subscribe. So I wanted to recommend the Broadway shows. There's so many, and some for your kids too, as well.
Well, I wanted to tell you about 2 books this week. One is a memoir by a writer named Bess Kalb called Nobody Will Tell You But Me. Bess Kalb is a writer on the Jimmy Kimmel Show, or most recently was a writer on the Jimmy Kimmel Show. And this is really a memoir about her grandmother, whom she was very close to, who was quite a character and led quite a full life. And it's a very unusual way to tell a story. The story is told basically in conversation with her grandmother. And it's more poignant than it is comic. And it's a very quick read and very enjoyable. And I highly recommend it. The other is a novel by a very close friend of mine, Nessa Rappaport, called Evening, that's coming out September 1st from Counterpoint Press. Nessa, who's not related to my wife, Amy Rappaport, different spelling. Nessa is the author of a quite famous Jewish novel called Preparing for Sabbath, that got a lot of attention because it was at the time one of the few novels to write sort of personally, intimately, from the point of view of a modern Orthodox Jewish woman. But this new novel takes place during a week of mourning, and has to do with the relationship between 2 sisters, and one sister in particular, and her own crises in her own love life. And it's a very, very, very much what we used to call a domestic novel. That's beautifully rendered, very Jewish, but not overtly so, just in its spirit and in the sort of particulars of the setting, of course, and which happens during the week of Shiva. And I highly recommend it. And hopefully, I'm going to be in conversation with Nessa in the next couple of weeks, talking about the novel. So read it now and come back for the discussion.
That sounds great. And I'm sure we can order both of those on Amazon, as we do everything else in our lives. And speaking of Amazon, they're releasing a new movie, a biopic of Gloria Steinem, directed by Julie Taymor. Now, Julie Taymor is a very innovative and avant-garde director. She directed The Lion King on Broadway, and everybody remembers how amazing that was. So this is called The Glorias, and it has 5 different actresses playing Gloria Steinem at different times in her life. So it will be very interesting, and as opposed to Mrs. America, which I thought was not very good on Hulu, which was sort of the competition between Phyllis Schlafly, who was, the real conservative woman, and Gloria Steinem, who I thought was portrayed as a caricature. And actually, about 5 years ago, I took my daughter to hear Gloria speak here in LA because I wanted her to know who Gloria Steinem was. And she was wowed, and she was like 19 years old at the time. So that should be very interesting.
Yes, Julie Taymor also did that wonderful Beatles movie, Across the Universe.
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
She's very talented and very unique. Her style is very unique. So this is called The Glorias, and it'll be on Amazon. So I got this amazing announcement right after our last Culture Mavens from the Israel Philharmonic Orchestra in Israel. They're in Israel right now. Sometimes they're on tour. And they're offering 10 free concerts from their chamber orchestra live from Israel every Sunday morning at 11 a.m. our time. And they're doing their beautiful classical music. Last week it was Mozart. I'm not sure yet what it is for this week, but if you want to have a beautiful, elegant brunch on a Sunday morning and listen to or watch Israeli musicians play beautiful music, this would be the link to go to.
There is a documentary that our friends at High Flicks just acquired and made available, which is called I Shall Not Be Silent. And it's a documentary of Rabbi Joachim Prinz, who was born in Germany, came to the United States, and was very involved in the civil rights battle, so much so that he's the person who spoke just prior to Martin Luther King on the Mall in that famous, when King gave his famous speech. It was Prince who basically introduced him, and they marched together and they worked together. And Prince's "I Shall Not Be Silent" is sort of a good call to action, not only to remind us of the role of Jews in the civil rights movement, but also to inspire us to take part today.
And he was a rabbi.
Yes, he was.
Big congregation, and also the president of the American Jewish Congress, and fought anti-Semitism all his life. And his daughter, Deborah Prince, is a rabbi now as well. So he was very famous in his time, very, very respected. And I'm sure that this is going to be a great documentary.
Yeah, deservedly so. My last recommendation is a little bit old school, which is that I'm going to recommend that you all subscribe to and read online Los Angeles Magazine. I write for them on occasion. Los Angeles Magazine, for the last year or so, if I say a year, it's probably longer, but has a new editor, Meir Roshan. And Meir has brought a great intelligence and edge and visual style to the magazine. Their listings of restaurants are always the best. They always have some good stuff up front. And in this time, particularly in the pandemic, which has placed such great hardship in terms of advertising, I think it's really important to support places like magazines that tell and report on local news and that supports freelance writers and journalists and graphic designers such as myself, but many. And so when you support a local magazine like Los Angeles Magazine, you're supporting a whole ecosystem, and I can only encourage you all to do that.
Is it monthly? Or
It is a monthly, yes. I think it's 10 issues a year. And you can get a subscription for probably under $12. So it's particularly if you're a first-time subscriber. And I have to say, again, they do a great job. And the more readers, the more they'll be able to hire more writers and do thicker issues, and all that. I think are things that are part of the values that we as a community should all be supporting.
Now, what's the name of that newspaper publication that used to be free? We had everything about
the LA Weekly.
That's still around?
Yes, it's a longer story. It's still around. It has changed hands. Unfortunately, a lot of their advertising went to the internet, and they are now owned by a company that I believe also owns the Orange County Register, and seemed for a while to be trying to get a lot of cannabis advertising. But you don't hear or see about the LA Weekly the way you used to. And again, once upon a time, the alternative newspapers in America, from the Village Voice to the LA Weekly, were really where you found the news and the great writing and the great writers of our times. And it's part of the wreckage of the internet that they are no longer sustainable. So all the more reason to support those publications that remain. Now, again, before we go, everything we've talked about on this show is you'll have links to, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Tell your friends, get them to subscribe. If you're enjoying what we're doing, please let others know and share Culture Mavens on your social media. And
also, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, and we look forward to seeing you again next week. But go ahead, Susan.
Before we sign off, also, if you go to the Wilshire Boulevard Temple website, there are links to all of our previous Culture Mavens. If you want to say, oh, what did they talk about a couple weeks ago? I forgot. And on that note, last week I recommended A Place to Call Home. And I know several people who are now binge watching it. I can't stop watching it. So if you want to go back and take a look, you can find any of them or on our website. So now we will say it was so great to be with you all. And we look forward to next week. And for now, bye.
Bye.